Hey everyone, how's it going? So I am here for the 10 strange bookish facts about you tag. This was created just this week by Britta Bowler, whose video I will leave a link to, wonderful channel. And I was tagged by Steve Donahue, also a wonderful channel, whose video I will leave a link to in the description as well. And so this is just a video where you give 10 weird facts about yourself that are related to books in some way. Just a note, I was going to take December off from making substantive videos. Just gonna need a little break, because it's been an exhausting year. But this is a fun little tag that's pretty easy to do, so I'm here to do it. And I at first worried that I wouldn't have enough weird facts about myself to talk about, but when I started thinking about it, I realized that I do have some strange bookish fetishes and habits. And starting with number one, which is that I love hardbacks, but I rarely buy them, because they're very expensive. But I love them because I like how you can open them all the way, like this, and lay them out on a table, or just hold them out in front of you, like this, completely flat, without breaking the spine and totally ruining the book, like would happen with a soft cover. I like to write in my books a lot and underline, and hardbacks make that infinitely easier as well, because you can open it so widely, and because you won't be struggling through underlining if, for example, if you're underlining and you're like this, the hardcover does the softback will do this when you try to underline, and that's incredibly frustrating. So I love hardbacks, but I rarely buy them, again, because they're expensive. So I often ask for them for Christmas or my birthday. But yeah. And then my second bookish fact has, again, to do with hardbacks. And it's sort of an amalgam of many different facts, but I decided to boil them all down into one thing so that I would talk about something other than my relationship to hardbacks. But I have a weird fetish for hardbacks. I like the sound of them, in your hands when you, pick them up, put them down. I just like the sound of, fingers handling a hand handling a hardback. I like the sound of picking a hardback up off the shelf. The nice, swoosh sound you get when you pull it down, and also the satisfying plump when you put it back up, I love. Yeah, I really like hardbacks. I really like handling them and listening to people handle them and watching them being handled, and I just like hardbacks a lot. It's kind of weird, but yeah, it's probably the closest thing I have to a, true book fetish. Fetish in, the real sense of the word. So yeah, I like hardbacks a lot. And also, relatedly, I like dust jackets, which I think is sort of a contrarian opinion here on BookTube. But yeah, I like dust jackets. I like how they look. I like how they feel. And I like using them as bookmarks on occasion. I mean, when you have a bookmark built right into the book, that's like a godsend for me, because I lose bookmarks all the time. And I use the stupidest things for bookmarks. I've actually used an uncashed check as a bookmark once. So when you're someone who gets that desperate and is that lazy in terms of finding good bookmarks, a built-in bookmark is quite nice, which also makes French flaps great. But I tend to like a dust jacket more. And also it gives hardbacks their nice little satisfying swish when you pull them down off the shelf. A little sound they make that soft covers I don't think do. So yeah, I like dust jackets. Number 4 is, again, sort of a hardback related thing, but it's about deckled edges. Because I think also, contrary to most of BookTube, I actually do like deckled edges. However, I am also, I guess I have a love-hate relationship with them, because I like to do this with books a lot, and I find that it's not as satisfying when there are deckled edges, because, there's always chunks of the book moving along, and you're not really, filing through every single page individually. You're going through chunks because of the higher edges of the pages over the shorter edges of the pages. So yeah, I'm a little conflicted about deckled edges, but in the end, I like how they look. At the end of the day, I can get over that because it doesn't really hinder the reading experience for me. So yeah, anyway, I like deckled edges. Number 5 is that I will occasionally tap books on my head, whether it's like this or like that or like that. I just occasionally tap books on my head for no particular reason. I do occasionally also actually like hit myself in the head with books, again for no particular reason other than that I have a weird thing about hitting myself in the head. Maybe it helps me think. Maybe it's why I am the way I am. I don't know. But yeah, I will tap my head with books on occasion. Again, I can't explain why. Number 6 is I like spoilers. I really don't mind if I know how a story ends, because I like to look for things like foreshadowing, and I also find that whenever I'm reading a work of fiction for the first time, it always takes me a while to get acclimated to the world of the novel, and to sort of get the deal of each of the major characters in it, and to learn their names, for sure, too. There's that as well. Knowing what's going to happen helps with all that, because I'm not worrying about following the plot as much, so I can, you know, appreciate the writing, appreciate the characters, and just dig a bit deeper and look for the subtleties inside of the text. And I'm not worrying so much about keeping track of what's going on, or who's doing what, or who's going where. I can just focus on the writing, the characters, and anything else, any sort of, again, foreshadowing and other things. Number 7, sort of relatedly, is that I have a hard time processing, like, movement in books. Any kind of action, physical action that I have never witnessed in my life, or have never, like, seen a video of in some way. I have a hard time processing it through prose. If you try to describe something to me in writing, something that I've never seen before and have no familiarity with, I'm going to get nowhere. I'm going to have no idea what you're talking about. Whatever is in my head will be completely different from what the thing actually is. And the same goes for, like, describing the layout of a room or what a building looks like. I will get it completely wrong. Something in my brain cannot process physicality through prose. It's frustrating because I would like to, but I absolutely can't. I need a picture, or I need a video of whatever it is. So really what I need is to stop reading whenever someone tries to describe something and just go look up a video of it if I can. And if I can't, then I'll just, you know, squander my way through it and make the best of it. But yeah, I have a hard time processing physical actions through books. Fact number 8 is that I mentioned that I like to underline a lot, and a lot of the times while I'm underlining a sentence that I like, or a verse in a poem that I like, what I'm thinking of is, would this make a good album title? Would this make a good title for a book? Or would this make a good epigraph for a book? And of course, I'm not musical at all. I don't write music. I also don't write books, so none of these things are ever going to happen, but I still think about it. I will be writing academic articles in the future, so perhaps it will help me when I'm writing academic articles. But yeah, whenever I'm underlining, I'm often thinking, would this make a good title for something? Just for the fun of it, kind of. And I also have a friend who makes music, and occasionally I think I will message him with some titles that he might use for an album of his. Number 9 is I cannot read the complete poems of a poet. I cannot start at the beginning and go to the end of an anthology of the collected works of a single poet. I get overwhelmed, for one thing, because poems require twice as much work as prose to read. And so if it's 1,000 pages of a writer's collected poems, which oftentimes it is, because often poets are quite prolific, that's twice as intimidating as 1,000 pages of prose. And so there's that, but also I just feel like I end up rushing through the poems, and it's better for me to just skip around and read poems that strike my fancy, or poems that I've heard of, or poems that I've already read in other places and like. And I'll get a lot more appreciation out of each individual poem, rather than forcing myself to go in an artificially, well, not artificial, but in chronological order, where I might get a much more superficial reading of each poem, rather than just skipping around and reading the poems that I'm really interested in and digging deep into them. So yeah, I have a hard time reading the complete poems of a poet. And finally, number 10, whenever I'm reading a play that's written in verse, so Shakespeare or Euripides or Aeschylus or Sophocles or someone, whenever I'm reading a play in verse, I always imagine it as an opera. I've been getting into opera the second half of this year, and so yeah, whenever I see Hamlet up on the stage, or when I imagine Hamlet up on the stage, I'm always imagining him, belting out "To Be or Not to Be" at the top of his lungs to the audience at the Metropolitan Opera. So yeah, I imagine plays that are written in verse as operas, and I often come out of that experience of imagining them like that, wishing that there was an opera of whatever I just read, and often there isn't, which is kind of sad. But yeah, so that's my 10th bookish fact. I'm going to tag some people down in the description. Thank you for tagging me, Steve Donahue. Thank you for creating the tag, Britta Bowler. And I will see you all in January when I start making videos regularly again. Bye, guys.